So a long-standing opinion that's held is that countries in the West should bring back national service, where at a certain age men get sent off to the military to make them more manly or make them more orderly. Send away boys and they will come back as men. And there are some interesting points that I agree with this opinion, but I don't think people should be sent off to do something they don't want to do. I think that's slavery. But what I find interesting is whenever I see on the TV or I read an article of someone advocating for the return of conscription, it's always two different categories of people. Men over the age of about 30 or women. And I don't think you need to do a study to find out why those two demographics are so in favour of this. It's because if it was brought back, they wouldn't have to do it. It wouldn't be something they'd be put into. But what I find very interesting is the men that advocate for this always like to talk as though they went through it, even though in my country it was abolished in 1963. So even like the baby boomer generation never got to do it, even though they're now in their 70s, the oldest members. And the women who advocate for it always happen to be the sort of women who normally hate gender roles, yet they're more than happy to support something that is basically a gender role. If they were more consistent, then they'd be advocating for women to be conscripted as well. But they're not going to do that. They're also the type of women who talk about toxic masculinity, how society teaches men to be aggressive and puts unfair standards on them. And it's interesting how many of these women normally advocate for women to be able to join up in the military. Like recently they've allowed in the UK for women to serve on the front line after years and years of not being able to. And all of the articles are like, women can now join the SAS. I don't know why the SAS is being given a special spotlight. I guess the rest of the military is just too lowbrow for these little princesses. But there's a lot of feminist advocation of that. And there's also a lot of feminist belief that there should be more support for wives and girlfriends of men in the armed forces. But you don't see many of these women advocating for male relatives of female service personnel to get that same support. And you don't see many of these women advocating for women to be conscripted either, even though we supposedly live in a world of equality. Something I just found quite depressing about the world we live in, but also quite fascinating as well.